Financial wellness. Reach out to them for advice at 855-DON-GINO. And now back to your hosts, Don Getling and Gino Fronti.
Well, happy Saturday from Don Getling and Robert Schwartz with Premier College Guidance here to educate you. Like that, Robert?
I like it.
All right. So Robert Schwartz with Premier College Guidance is our Premier College Planner. And what's nice is him and his partner, Trevor Mizrahi.
Correct.
Not bad, huh? Are a one-stop shop for college planning regarding, it could be testing, it could be guidance on where to go, how to go, cost, financing it. All that is one-stop shop with you guys, right?
It's a beautiful thing. Bringing everyone who has a question, whether it's how to get into the right college or what makes certain colleges special or different for my student, not just because they're special or different, but specifically for the needs of a particular student or a particular family. We have the answers. And then more importantly than just getting into that school is how the heck do we pay for it and not end up working into our 80s? So we cover all ground. We want families to understand that we have their back, that we have the knowledge, and we bring everything under one roof to solve all of their problems.
All right. And I really wanted you to be on the show for the entire show today because this is one of the most important decisions a family can make and one of the most a huge financial decision, but also a huge decision for your child or your grandchild or for you on where to go and how to pay for it. And what's nice is, Robbie, you've always been on the show enlightening us on stuff we don't know, and I know parents don't know. And today we were talking about some important changes on some little test called the S.A.T. or the S.A.T.
Yeah, I never heard of it.
Why don't you enlighten us? Because if they don't know there's changes, they're going to walk in blindly and not be prepared.
Agreed. So this new S.A.T., it is being released March 5th. So it is the next S.A.T. out the chute. It is a significant departure from the one that existed from 2005 to the beginning of 2016. It is no longer a reasoning test. It is Common Core aligned like many of our public school classrooms are. It is much more similar to the College Board's chief competitors test, which is the A.C.T.
All right.
Students are going to see the scoring revert to what their parents had, 200 to 800 in math and verbal, just like the good old days. But there are a lot of other changes, namely those pesky vocabulary words that we remember, and we would read them and go, I have no idea what that word means, and I've never used that word, and I'm never going to use that word again.
Not unless you're in a spelling bee.
Not unless you're in a spelling bee. They are gone.
Okay.
Hallelujah. They have been replaced with a much more functional vocabulary. So words that they still offer some challenge, but these are words that you should have in your vernacular. Vernacular could, in fact, be a word. And it's a question of, do you know the multiple definitions of those words? That's a very different structure entirely. It's knowing the context of what these words mean in their particular sentences that are given. No longer are students penalized for wrong answers. Another departure from the past when you lost a quarter of a point every time you were wrong. So you had to think about the strategy of do I or do I not guess. Now you don't have that problem anymore. Furthermore, on the old test, you had 5 answer choices, A, B, C, D, E. E is gone. It's now a 4-answer option, just like...
I just highlight all the B's.
There are some students, when they run out of time, we'll tell them pick their favorite letter and move on. Absolutely, because if you know there's no penalty for being wrong, you may as well pick something.
You might get one right.
You got a 25% chance of hitting water.
Yeah.
Let's also look at...
Better than a 20% chance. So
agreed.
We just gained 5%.
Absolutely. Now, that all sounds rosy. It sounds great. It sounds like they've made the test easier and more user-friendly, and they have. But it's still a standardized test, which means it's still going to create a bell curve of scores for colleges to differentiate students with similar grades. That's why this test exists. It's not just to generate money, even though those of us in the industry think College Board at $900 million a year is probably making a little more money than they actually need as a nonprofit. But, so what are the things that got harder? Namely, the math section has seen an uptick in both breadth and depth of their questions. The level of math now takes the second semester of Algebra 2 and some trigonometry into account. So this is no joke.
Yeah, no doubt.
It also has math questions that are multifaceted, meaning you might need trigonometry, and algebra and arithmetic to solve a particular problem. It's not just looking at one facet of math anymore.
Before we go off that, because right now I'm sure some parents' heads and some potential college students are going, "Oh my heck, how do I prepare for that?" Can you help a college-bound student with these scenarios to help them prepare accordingly? Because a lot of times, I mean, back in my day, a lot of times you went through high school, you got your grades, you did the best you can, even if you're a straight-A student, didn't mean you were prepared for the test, though, because there's questions on there. I know I went in there, I'm like, I wasn't prepared for that question, and I know I could have been, and it would have been a lot easier, and I would have been a lot less stressed.
Yeah, absolutely. The test preparation industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It is a massive part of the educational block, if you will. And I came from that. You remember I spent many years working at the Princeton Review. And I understand that you study for tests, whether you do that because it's a math test in your school or it's a math test on the S.A.T. You need to understand what's coming. You need to know how to problem solve. You need to have the technical know-how to solve them, and then have the timing to do it in a responsible manner. Test prep companies exist for that sole purpose. So my responsibility as a college counselor is to introduce them to the tests, the S.A.T. and the A.C.T., get them free copies of the exams, let them try them in proctored settings, establish which one is better if there's a difference.
I love that, because there is sometimes how they think could be different between the S.A.T. and the A.C.T.
In the old versions, massive differences. I've had students score in 90th plus percentile in one and in the 50th percentile in the other.
Oh, wow.
On the newer version of the exam, I do not expect that to happen.
Yeah, you said they're a lot closer now.
They're much more similar in nature. So there might still be a difference, but it won't be as dramatic. And at least the idea is, let's expose you to both. Maybe the question types on one test favor you or don't favor you. And if you're only going to spend time on one exam, let's figure out which one you like better.
Absolutely. That makes sense.
Hit it hard. Pick the right study program to get you the most amount of points to then say, okay, I did well enough on the test. Let's move on to something that matters. Because so many families are still under the impression the test score means all the difference in the world. I'm here to tell you it's one small part of many.
All right, you heard it right here from Robert Schwartz with Premier College Guidance that the S.A.T. isn't everything. What would you say? Why don't you? Do we have to time? We got a couple minutes here, and then we'll have to dive in a couple of things that they need to know about, because a lot of that's what I thought. Honestly, my dad basically said, "Go take your S.A.T." Now, getting into Cal State Northridge was you put your name on it with my grade point average. It was easy. There's so much competition now with even the state schools now. Things have changed, but to properly prepare your child, your grandchild, or yourself, you need to know more than just the S.A.T., obviously.
That's for sure. Being introduced to the A.C.T. is, I think, vitally important as well. So many families in California are still under the impression the S.A.T. is what the Cal State and UC system want. That is no longer the case, and it hasn't been for a long time. The A.C.T. is accepted at every school in America, equally to the S.A.T. If you submit an S.A.T. and an A.C.T. score, whichever one is higher by percentile,
that's cool.
That's what they're going to take. Why? Is it because they're swell? No, it's because it's in their best interest to do so. We always forget this idea that colleges are businesses. I just wrote an article on this. If we start treating colleges like businesses, we will understand exactly what their motives are ahead of time. It's when we treat them as these holier-than-thou entities that we don't really understand that they're quite predictable. And we just have to understand what it is they want. That's also part of what Premier College Guidance does.
Very good. Again, Robert Schwartz with Premier College Guidance. How can they get a hold of you, buddy?
By all means, give me a call. This one rings in my pocket. It's 818-359-3779, or email me. It's my first name, Rob, R-O-B, at premiercollegeguide.com.
And they can you can actually walk them through whatever areas that they feel that their child needs help in, whether it's testing, whether it's choosing the right college, whether it's financing that college, correct?
Plus extracurricular activities and summer planning.
That's right.
Essay editing is a huge hallmark of our business. Understanding the standardized test, dealing with letters of recommendation, how to demonstrate your interest to colleges, how to deal with interviews. That's all part of the process we cover everything.
Boy, it'd be really nice to have you behind, supporting us and pointing us in the right direction, because we don't have enough options out here in Santa Cruz. As far as I mean, if you look around, there's only a few options, and those that I feel are not as accountable as you are to Santa Cruz and to your craft. You are an expert at what you do.
I certainly appreciate it, and I do think we offer the best program. I think we have the most certifications. As a matter of fact, I'm not just a UCLA certified college counselor. I teach in the program. So, families who retain my services know that I teach college counseling. So
much better than the hair club for men.
I would fail ultimately at that particular venue, but I do know my stuff, and I do care about my families, and I do want them to be happy and successful. And that is the most important thing above all.
All right, make sure you stay tuned for our next couple editions of the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show. We got so much more coming on for you, your child, your grandchild, on college admission, college planning, to prepare you for what's coming up, because there's a lot of changes. So don't go away. We'll be right back.